Some tears conceal ancient sorrows. Clara stood alone at the ceremonial celebration of the new Alpha King, Gareth. The cheers of the crowd echoed around her, a cacophony of jubilation drowning out her silent despair. She felt like a ghost among the living, an invisible existence defined solely by her orphaned status. An Omega in her own kingdom, her role was to serve, not to be seen. Staring at the vibrant gowns twirling around her, she felt the painful weight of every laugh, every cheer suffocating her. Her heart ached, beating heavily against her chest. Clara wiped her cheeks, feeling the wet heat of her tears. Each droplet was a reminder of rejection, struggles simmering just beneath the surface. It was a battle to hold back the tide of sorrow threatening to spill forth in a world that seemed to care little for her pain. She inhaled sharply, the scent of honeysuckle and lush greenery mingling with the overwhelming aroma of roasted meats and sweet pastries, a tantalizing reminder of joys that would always be out of reach. Clara moved through the throng, her dark hair a curtain that shielded her from the gazes of nobles and townsfolk alike. It was suffocating. The simple servant's gown she wore contrasted starkly with the rich fabric draping over the elite. Everyone was dressed sparkling and opulent, while she blended into the background, a mere shadow amongst the vibrant colors and swirling laughter. No one noticed her green eyes, wide and full of longing for acknowledgement. No one saw the pain etched in her features as the crowd reveled in the future's promise. Was this her life? Forever bound to silence and servitude. Loneliness wrapped around her like an old, heavy blanket, and with every cheer, she felt it squeeze tighter. She turned her gaze to the raised platform where Gareth stood, the newly crowned king. His presence commanded attention, even from a distance. Regal yet so incredibly alone. There were gray streaks in his hair, adding a hint of wisdom to his royal facade, but his expression was stoic, betraying none of the burdens he carried. What scars lay beneath that impenetrable exterior? Clara felt a pang of sympathy mingled with her own sorrow as she studied him. Gareth's duty seemed a suffocating blanket, one that threatened to crush everything underneath it. He was expected to lead a fractured kingdom, but what did that leadership cost him? The celebration was a symbolic dawn, yet it felt as if he stood in eternal twilight. As Clara stood there, fighting to remain invisible, she caught Gareth's gaze. Their eyes locked. A wave of recognition crashed over her. It was jarring, intoxicating, a mix of vulnerability and passion awakening something deep within her soul. The ancient mate bond sparked to life, swirling around them like wildfire. What was this surge of energy? Did he feel it too? Gareth's eyes widened momentarily, like he was discovering something he thought long buried, the truth of his existence. Her heart raced, unraveling in that haunting moment, tethered to a fear she didn't understand but could sense in bones. Time froze. All around her faded into whispers. Could he see her? The woman beneath the servant's garb? The orphaned girl yearning for connection? Then, just as quickly as it began, the moment shattered. The cheers escalated. The crowd erupted in joy around them, pulling Gareth's attention away. Clara felt the heaviness return, the invisible barrier solidifying between them. He was a king. She was a servant. She felt lost, drowning in despair. What would become of this yearning, this undeniable pull between them? Clara's memories dragged her to a different time, a time when shadows lingered in her heart. Abandoned at the orphanage, fear was her constant companion. The echoes of laughter rang hollow amidst the grim walls that felt more like a prison than a sanctuary. She was only 9 when the fire took her parents. The flames had consumed her home, but what hurt most was the suffocating loneliness that followed. She had clung to the hope that somehow they'd return, that they were lost, but would find their way back to her. But that hope faded as days turned into weeks, weeks into months, endless days of waiting, only to be met with crushing silence. Clara learned quickly that in the unforgiving world of orphans, survival meant clinging to strength she didn't know she had. From age 16, She had been assigned to Castle Valoran, a humble servant amongst the nobility. Her nights rolled into a cycle of hard work: laundry, cleaning, kitchen duties. The brutality of it all wore on her, but she found solace in small things: the warmth of fresh bread, the vibrant colors of flowers in the courtyard. Through every exhausting day, Clara kept her heart beating with resilience. No matter how dim life seemed, she would survive. So she pushed forward, yearning for a brighter tomorrow. Yet she felt invisible at the castle, overlooked by nobles wearing silks and jewels. They laughed and talked, claiming titles and power while she labored in silence. Clara's existence blurred into the background, a ghost among the living. She had learned to nod politely, to speak softly, to blend into the walls, but it only deepened her sense of isolation. Did they even know she was alive? And then there was Gareth. His arrival had felt monumental, like clouds parting for sunlight. He was not just any king. He was the Lycan King. She had seen him from afar before today, his presence exuding authority. His cold demeanor terrified many, yet Clara saw through the mask he wore. She couldn't help but wonder if he too was haunted by loss. His history was steeped in the scars of tragedy. A king for centuries, Gareth had lost everything. A once blossoming love had turned to ash, betrayal marking his heart. His mother had nurtured him, instilling a sense of duty that felt like a curse. Clara could sense the remnants of that love long gone. The warmth faded, replaced by a demand for power and control he bore with bitter resolve. The world around them, a kingdom drowning in political strife, had pushed Gareth into isolation, forcing him into a mold of what a ruler was expected to be. Clara knew those expectations too well. They suffocated and constrained. She felt it in every heartless glance thrown her way at court. Yet their connection danced on the edge of understanding, like fragile threads woven between their fates. Tonight was not just any other night. It felt different. The energy crackled in the air like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Clara took a shaky breath, catching glimpses of Gareth laughing, smiling among his subjects. But was it genuine? She had sensed something shifting in that fleeting moment of eye contact. What if not all he felt was happiness? What was he truly trapped beneath the weight of his crown? Perhaps he was just as lost as she was. As the night dragged on, the sounds morphed into an engulfing chaos, music swelling around her. Something pulled at Clara, a need to break free from her invisible chains. She needed to push through the wall of courtiers and explore the gap that had just opened between their worlds. But how? Fate took an unexpected turn when Clara was tasked with carrying refreshments to the dais where Gareth sat. She hesitated, her heart racing as she approached, the thoughts swirling in her head. The crowd continued to cheer, oblivious to the undercurrents between them. Steeling herself, she stepped forward, but the moment she reached him, the air shifted. Your Majesty." Her voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Gareth's eyes flickered to her, a mixture of surprise and something deeper, a flicker of acknowledgement shoving aside the facade. "What's your name?" His tone was gravelly, commanding yet curious. "Clara," she breathed, feeling the energy pulse like raw electricity between them. Gareth leaned closer, locking eyes with her as he took the glass from her shaking hands. "Clara." He tasted her name, turning each syllable into a spell. She was just a servant, a mere shadow. Yet in that moment, he seemed to see her. Would he dare to explore this bond? Did either of them know the price of such curiosity? The celebration continued, and the court was a vibrant tapestry of laughter and music. But it felt like Clara and Gareth occupied a world of their own. Sparks crackled between them, a connection both exhilarating and terrifying. She felt the weight of his gaze, anchored, but drifting in a sea of uncertainty. How could a mere servant feel so connected to a king? "Clara," he repeated. again tasting her name as if it held the key to something monumental. His voice, deep and rich, sent shivers down her spine. She could hardly breathe under that scrutiny, yet yearned for more, a pulse of understanding that transcended their titles. As their silence grew, the world around them seemed to fade. The music turned into a distant buzz, the crowd morphed into a blur of colors and sound. Clara's heart raced. In a room full of nobles, he stood there, making her feel visible, powerful. But was it too much to hope for? Before she could retreat back into the safety of anonymity, Gareth stepped closer, his voice low and conspiratorial. "You seem troubled. Why?" The directness of his question rocked her. Was it true? Did he sense the storm swirling inside her? I merely serve your majesty. I'm not troubled." His brow furrowed, a play of emotions flickering across his face. "You shouldn't lie to me. I can see it in your eyes." His honest gaze was both disarming and thrilling. She fought back the urge to open her heart to him, afraid of the vulnerability it would demand. But Gareth felt different. Did he truly want to know her? "No, really, I'm just—" She stammered, feeling the heat rise in her cheeks. "I'm just here to tend to the celebrations." Gareth studied her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. It was as if he were trying to peel away her layers one by one, see who lay beneath the servant's facade. "You're more than that. I can feel it," he whispered. Before Clara could respond, a commotion erupted across the hall. A rival faction had infiltrated the festivities, their silhouettes dark and foreboding against the backdrop of joy. Whispers filled the air, mounting tension swirling like dark clouds overhead. Clara's heart sank, sensing the shift in energy. "Stay behind me," Gareth commanded, instinct kicking in as he stepped protectively in front of her. The poised king now appeared formidable, ready to defend what he deemed precious. "Who dares to disrupt my celebration?" Gareth demanded. A growl edged into his voice that sent chills through the crowd, silencing the ruckus momentarily. A figure stepped forward, the smirk on their face wicked and disdainful. "We come to remind you, King Gareth, that rule is not given, it is taken, and your reign is faltering." The words echoed, dripping with venom. Clara felt Gareth's body tense beside her, and instinctively she reached out, grasping his arm with trembling fingers. "They want to provoke you. Don't give them that power," she implored, her voice sincere. He turned, meeting her gaze, the tension in his features softening for just a moment. "You're right." With determination burning in his eyes, Gareth stepped forward, drawing the attention back to him. "This kingdom is built on the strength of its people. I won't allow you to tarnish this night, or my legacy." The rival's smirk faltered, replaced with irritation. "You think you can hold on to your crown with mere words? The people question you, King. Your reign is a shadow of what it should be." Clara's heart raced, caught in the whirlwind of political intrigue. Did Gareth truly believe he could fend them off with determination alone? She could see the weight of the kingdom pressing down on his shoulders. It was heavy and terrifying. "Enough!" Gareth's roar resounded through the hall, an ancient power vibrating within. The authority carried a weight that silenced dissent. Clara couldn't help but admire his strength, the way he transformed before her very eyes. But there was a glimmer of doubt lurking behind the king's confidence. She feared for him, fearing what the faction had planned. They would target him through her exact weaknesses. The threat was more than just political. It felt deeply personal. Without thinking, she pulled him aside, urgency flooding her voice. "You can't take them lightly. They will try to hurt you through me." Gareth looked down at her, concern flickering in his stormy gaze. "Why do you care? You're just a servant." Her breath caught in her throat. "Because you see me, Your Majesty. You make me feel worthy, and in this world, that's a rare gift." The words spilled out, raw and unguarded. It was dangerous to expose her heart like that, yet Clara felt a resolve as unyielding as iron. He hesitated for a moment, as if weighing her words. The newfound closeness surged between them. She searched his expression, seeing confusion, but also yearning. Then, it happened. In an impulsive moment, Gareth's lips crashed into hers, igniting a fire that had simmered for far too long. The kiss was urgent, filled with a desperate need to understand, to claim what was theirs. There was a hunger in it, the kind Clara had never felt before. But doubt gnawed at her. Was this real, or just a moment's folly fueled by the chaos of the court? They pulled apart, breaths mingling in the charged space between them. Gareth's expression morphed, pulling into anguish as he understood the heat of the moment, but also the implications. "Clara," he breathed, the tender sound unraveling the tension that had gripped them. "Is this right?" she whispered, heart racing, unsure of what was to come. Her pulse quickened. This was a point of no return. Would they find strength in their bond, or crumble under the weight of their worlds? Clara stood there, heart pounding, as Gareth processed the whirlwind of emotions swirling in the air. His eyes were stormy, reflecting a tumult of uncertainty and yearning. She had thrown herself into the abyss of vulnerability, and now it hung heavy between them, pressing against her chest like an unwelcome weight. What had she done? "Clara." His voice was barely above a whisper, laced with dread and something else, something beautiful, fragile. Suddenly, the chaos of the celebration around them crashed back into focus. The court had resumed its festivity, yet all Clara could hear was the pounding of her heart, echoing in her ears. She felt exposed, raw, every laugh and cheer blurred together, a cacophony that felt like a million eyes watching them. The joy everyone else felt turned hollow in that moment, reminding her of her reality. "Your Majesty, we should—" She started, but got interrupted as Gareth stepped closer, lowering his voice to a near reverent tone. "Did you mean it? When you said I see you?" Those words held power, and a wave of relief flooded over Clara. "I do, Gareth. It's like you can peer beneath the surface, into the heart of me." He reached for her hand, calloused fingers brushing hers, igniting a rush of warmth. "This cannot be a fleeting moment. We need to navigate this together." Their hands fit like a puzzle piece, a whispering promise of connection. As they both stepped back from the noise of the celebration, reality clawed at them, reminding Clara that even if something beautiful blossomed between them, they existed in a world where classes divided them. She was merely an omega. He was the king. The distance felt unbridgeable. But then Gareth's grip tightened around her fingers, igniting confidence deep within her. "You bring a strength I never thought I'd find. I need you, Clara, especially now." She wanted to answer, to reassure him, but fear stopped her cold. "What if they use me against you? What if I'm not enough?" He shook his head, his expression softening. "Then we stand together. This is our fight, yours and mine." His eyes hardened slightly, taking on an edge of defiance. "If they try to hurt you, they'll have to go through me." Clara's chest fluttered as a spark ignited in her heart. The thought of standing shoulder to shoulder with Gareth filled her with determination, yet gnawing doubt still lingered. How could a servant like her possibly be worthy of the king's trust? As if sensing her hesitation, Gareth leaned closer, the heat of his breath caressing her ear. "I feel it, Clara. The bond between us. Don't let fear diminish what's already become a part of us." The sound of a ruckus echoed behind them, and Clara gasped as she turned to see the rival faction regrouping. They were not finished yet. She felt Gareth's presence beside her. Powerful, unwavering. "We must go now," she urged, sensing urgency in the air as fear prickled her skin. They will push harder. They know you're vulnerable. With an electric tension crackling between them, they navigated through the chaos, weaving between courtiers and staff who, as yet, remained blissfully unaware of the imminent threat. Clara felt a shiver skitter down her spine. The atmosphere had changed, thickening with dread as the faction's menacing glares swept over her like a storm cloud. She tightened her grip on Gareth's hand, anchoring herself against the unknown. "Stay close," he murmured, casting a protective gaze around. "If they make a move, we need to be ready." They reached a secluded alcove, sheltered from the eyes of the court. Clara leaned against the wall, relishing the solitude and weighing the rush of emotions that surrounded her. "What now?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Gareth stepped in closer, their chemistry undeniable amid the uncertainty. "We need a plan to confront them. If they want me weakened, we bend that against them. We show them that unity is our strength." "Are you sure this is the right path?" she questioned, doubt creeping back in. "We can't ignore the danger, Gareth. You must focus on your crown." His eyes darkened with intensity. "My crown means nothing without the people. And now that includes you. We will protect each other." Every ounce of conviction flowed through him. Clara held on tightly to his words. Could they really do it? Could they stand together against the forces that sought to tear them apart? "Clara," Gareth said, his voice softening again. "Every moment spent with you brings clarity. Feelings are deeper than I ever expected, and I refuse to let them go without a fight." Just then, a servant rushed by, panic in his eyes. "Your Majesty, they've breached the gates." The news twisted Clara's stomach into knots. Did they not understand the stakes? They couldn't let this escalate. "We need to act before it's too late," she insisted. Gareth nodded, determination blazing in his eyes. He looked at Clara, and that flicker of fear was gone, replaced by fierce resolve. "Together, we face this together." They stepped out from the alcove, hand in hand, hearts racing. A rush of adrenaline fueled them forward as they closed the distance toward the main hall. "Listen," Gareth shouted, calling the attention of the crowd. "This is a call to unity. My people, the enemy means to divide us, but through strength and partnership, we will prevail." The crowd, sensing Gareth's power, began to rally. The room swelled with energy, growing louder as the people readied themselves to fight. Clara felt a shift as hope bloomed, igniting a fire in her chest. She was not alone. Together, they would defy the chaos threatening to tear them apart. They would become a formidable force, an omega, and a king against an inevitable storm. The court roared their approval, a collective spirit lifting them as one. Gareth turned to Clara, his eyes shining with a fierce light. "Are you ready?" She squeezed his hand tighter, feeling bolstered by the power of the moment and the strength swirling between them. Always. Would they conquer the shadows that threatened their bond, or would they fall to the darkness that bled into their world? The air thickened with tension as the crowd surged, fervor igniting within each listener. Gareth's declaration reverberated through the hall, a call to arms, and Clara felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. She was part of this, no longer just a servant in the shadows, but a vital piece of their unity. "Now!" Gareth commanded, his voice ringing with authority. "Take your positions. Prepare for battle." Clara's heart raced. She had never faced anything like this, but she had no time to hesitate. Echoes of fear dissolved with the call to courage. Determination and adrenaline surged through her as the members of the court rallied together, donning armor and taking up weapons. "We will defend our home," Gareth yelled, a fire blazing in his eyes as he unsheathed his sword, the blade reflecting the flickering torchlight. It was beautiful and deadly, and in his hands, it became a symbol of hope. The chaos of the roaring crowd was electric, and Clara felt the energy wrapping around her like armor, Something inside her shifted. She wasn't just supporting Gareth anymore. She was standing for the kingdom, for her family, the only family she had left. She shared a powerful glance with Gareth, each of them feeling the stakes rise higher. As the gate splintered under the weight of monstrous bodies crashing against them, Clara's resolve hardened. "We fight now!" she yelled, her voice rising above the din, surprising herself with the strength she found. Who was this woman, this warrior that had emerged from the shadows? Gareth caught her gaze, a spark igniting between them, a shared understanding of their intertwined fates. They would protect each other, whatever it took. The doors burst open, and a wave of rival faction members flooded into the hall, dark figures shrouded in malice, wielding weapons that gleamed ominously. It wasn't just a battle for the kingdom anymore. It was personal. Clara could see the hatred in their eyes, the intent to destroy what Gareth represented. One of the intruders, a hulking figure with scars crisscrossing his face, stepped forward. "You dare to rally like sheep before me, Gareth? Your reign ends tonight." The crowd roared with anger, but Gareth stepped in front of Clara, shielding her. "It will end when you're dead," he spat, fury coursing through his veins. Clara felt the rush of adrenaline and fear collide within her. She had to act. "Your Majesty, let me help," she shouted, stepping forward, determination firm in her stance. She scanned the weapons around them and grabbed a pitchfork from the ground, holding it tightly. Gareth looked astonished, but proud. "Keep your aim true." The rival faction surged forward, weapons raised, and the clash began. Metal screamed against metal, and Clara lost herself in the chaos. She sidestepped a wild swing, using every ounce of her survival skills to dodge and retreat where needed, yet always moving forward. With every thrust of her pitchfork, she felt more powerful, more alive. This wasn't just a battle. It was a moment of revelation. Gareth fought with a fierce grace, dispatching foes while keeping a protective eye on her. "Clara!" he called, panic lacing his voice when he saw a figure approaching behind her. She spun just in time, instinct kicking in as she thrust the pitchfork forward. It pierced the air and found its mark, sending the attacker tumbling backward. "Watch your flanks," he yelled over the roaring battle, and for each moment they darted between enemies. Each time their gazes met, they solidified their bond further. But then, something unexpected happened. A splintering crash echoed from behind them. Another wave of attackers surged forward, led by the scarred figure. "You think a single pitchfork and empty promises will protect you, boy?" The man's voice sneered, the malice evident. "Together we are stronger than you think," Gareth declared, rallying his forces. Shadows of doubt lurked in Clara's mind, but she pushed them aside. She would not let fear consume her. Gareth moved in tandem with her, the bond they shared blurring the lines between leader and servant. They had become equals, fighting fiercely side by side. Clara thrived amidst the chaos, commanding the pitchfork with surprising finesse and precision. "Hold the line!" Gareth shouted, sweat glistening on his forehead as he swung his sword, steam rising from the heat of their battle. Each move was a symphony of adrenaline, bravery, and desperation. Just when it seemed victory might come, a burst of movement caught Clara's eye. She turned to see the enemy charging toward Gareth, a dagger poised to strike. "Gareth, watch out!" Her heart plummeted, panic surging through her veins. Before she could process the instinct, she threw herself forward, adrenaline propelling her. "No!" she screamed, her voice slicing through the sounds of battle, but she was too late. The dagger, glinting coldly in the dim light, sank toward Gareth, but Clara acted just in time. She shoved him aside, her body absorbing the force of the attack. Pain erupted as the blade struck her flesh, a jolt of fire that dimmed the battle around her. "Clara!" Gareth roared, panic and fury colliding in his chest. He turned, fury igniting in him. "Get her out of here!" he shouted to the guards, fury and grief intertwining in his expression. Clara staggered, blood seeping from the wound, feeling the coldness creeping in. Her vision began to blur as the world spun. Gareth knelt by her side, cradling her head in his hands, the battlefield pressing around them like an encroaching storm. "Stay with me, Clara," he growled softly, his voice breaking. "Stay with me." "Gareth." Her breath came in shudders, pain rippling through her body. I won't let you go." His voice cracked, raw and real, a mixture of love and fear. "You're my light. Don't you dare fade now." The battle raged around them, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. Their connection surged, bound by the depths of emotions that spilled over like blood on the floor. To fight the darkness closing in, she held on to his gaze, their spirits entwined in that fleeting heartbeat of life. Would Clara's act of bravery save them both, or plunge them into despair? Would Gareth find the strength to defeat his enemies, holding on to her light amid the shadows? Everything slowed, swirling around them like fog. Clara felt Gareth's grip tightening, a warm anchor in her shivering state. Though pain pulsed through her, his presence ignited a light that pushed back the darkness creeping in. "I won't let you go," he promised, his voice fierce and unwavering. "Gareth," she gasped, her heart plummeting. "You need to fight. I can't. I need you," he shouted, desperation clawing at his voice. "You are my light. Stay with me, please." Clara's chest tightened as the battlefield thundered around them, but his scream brought clarity. In those frantic moments, she couldn't succumb to despair. "You have to protect them. The kingdom needs you, Gareth." He held her gaze, something primal igniting within him. Together. The faint crescendo of their bond surged through Clara, a flicker of strength amidst the chaos. Gareth nodded, determination radiating from him, fueling a fire to fight. With a roar, he surged back into the battle, sword raised high, an emblem of hope amid darkness. "To me," he called, and the guards rallied, hearts igniting with purpose. Clara, her breath shallow, clutched the pitchfork she'd picked up, feeling a surge of adrenaline. She stumbled to her feet, the pain relentless but blooming into fierce resolve. "We fight together," she yelled, summoning the courage from deep within. The enemy pressed, but Gareth became a force of nature. Clara saw him cutting through the chaos, each movement fierce and calculated, managing both his sword and protecting her from afar. It felt surreal, watching him as he defied all odds, his spirit lighting up the darkness surrounding them. Everything within her swelled with pride and fear. She could not let herself falter again. With renewed energy, Clara moved beside him, plunging the pitchfork into an attacker, her own movements becoming a dance of survival. Yet in the midst of the fray, a booming voice rang out. The scarred leader emerged, eyes burning with hatred. "You think a mere servant can save you?" he roared. "Your kingdom will fall tonight." Gareth took a step toward the threat, rage igniting. "You won't take what belongs to me." Their weapons clashed, echoing a defiant song of resistance. As the enemies pressed closer, Clara could sense the tide shifting. Gareth was fierce, but her strength faltered as fatigue gripped her. Then she moved instinctively, lunging forward toward Gareth just as the dagger glinted, aimed for him. "Gareth, watch out!" she shouted in horror, but she was too late. The blade sank deep into her side, fire exploding through her body. "Clara!" He turned, panic flooding his features. "No! What have you done?" Gareth knelt beside her, the chaos around them becoming a distant hum. She could feel the warmth of her blood soaking through the fabric, signaling the severity of her wound. "Get her out," he shouted to the guards, fury infiltrating his grief. "Stay with me," he pleaded, a raw edge woven into his voice. "You can't leave me, please." Her vision blurred, and time felt suspended. "You're my king," she whispered, desperate. "Protect your people." "Clara, don't you dare say that." His voice cracked, filled with anguish. "You are my heart," As the world swirled and softened, her last breath caught between dreams and reality. You have to fight. For us. She felt herself slipping, the darkness threatening to take her. But Gareth's fierce grip seemed to tether her, pulling her back. Don't you fade on me. He shook her gently, hoping to invoke some spark of life. A spark ignited between them, a promise that could not be broken. Days blurred past, but when Clara's eyes flickered open to the familiar sunlight streaming through the windows, she felt hope. Gareth sat by her side, eyes glued to her, relief washing over him. You're back, he breathed, a smile breaking through the fear etched on his face. I told you I wouldn't let go, she whispered, strength flooding back. Together, we rebuild, he promised, taking her hand. You're not just my light, you are my queen. Budged by newfound strength, they sat up and surveyed the room as news of victory spread. Their kingdom wasn't just saved, they would rise anew, bound in love and strength. As they stepped into the light of a new dawn, they had built a future forged through fire and unity, together, always. If you enjoyed the story of Clara and Gareth, the destined Omega and the fierce king, subscribe for more epic Lycan King romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story, and remember, love can conquer all. Thank you for listening.